I spent 3 weeks crafting that gift. A hand-carved wooden box, polished smooth, inlaid with a compass, just like the ones we used to draw in our childhood journals when we swore we'd never lose each other. The kind of symbol only two sisters would understand. Inside, I placed a letter written at midnight, the sixth draft because I kept rewriting the same line, "I'm proud of the woman you've become." I tied a ribbon around it that morning, sat alone in my car outside the Napa Valley Resort, and whispered to myself, "Today isn't about me, I wasn't on the guest list." But I still came. Not for applause. Not to make a scene. Just to leave something behind. To wish her well. Even from the shadows. My heels clicked softly over gravel as I walked toward the entrance, heart thudding in my chest, breath catching in my throat. My dress was simple, nothing flashy, nothing made for photographs. I wasn't there to be seen. But the moment the security guard looked down at his iPad and said it, "I'm sorry, ma'am, your name's not on the list," I felt like I'd been gutted. Like the door wasn't just closed, it had never been built for me in the first place. I tried to explain, quietly, "I'm not here to join the wedding, just wanted to leave something for my sister." He hesitated, radioed someone. A few minutes later, Lucas walked out, dressed in a tailored suit and tight discomfort. "Lena," he said, voice clipped, "you should have gotten the email. It's just, Mom wants the day to look perfect. You understand, right?" And just like that, everything small about me came rushing back. The girl cropped out of photos, the sister whose name barely made it to holiday cards, the daughter who was easier to ignore than explain. I turned to go, clutching the box like it held the last ounce of my dignity. And that's when it happened. Someone came running, voice slightly breathless. "Madam CEO," the general manager called out, his tone shifting from professional courtesy to recognition. And then everything paused. Faces turned. A murmur rippled through the courtyard. One of the servers whispered, "Wait, that's Lena Morgan." The LED screens around the venue flickered, the lights dimmed, then flared. Across every display, the system greeted me like an old friend. "Welcome, Founder Elv Morgan, Solara Intelligence Systems." The very system powering their wedding, the lights, the music, the ambience, was mine. I didn't crash the wedding. I engineered it. And for the first time ever, they all finally saw me. "Hi. I'm Lena. And this is the story of the wedding I was never meant to be part of, and how I became the moment they couldn't forget." A week before the wedding, my sister effectively uninvited me. No call. No conversation. Just an email. Cold, measured, efficient. Like I was a spreadsheet to be deleted. It wasn't just the message, it was everything left unsaid. The years of drifting silences, birthdays unanswered, holidays without my name mentioned. It was the slow ghosting of someone you still pretend to love in public but quietly decide to exclude behind closed doors. I used to believe family couldn't unlove you. That no matter how far you strayed, they'd hold space for you. I was wrong. Sometimes they don't love you, they love the version of you that makes them look good. And when you grow out of that frame, they quietly replace the photo. My family is good at that, curation over connection. Patricia Morgan, our mother, used to run PR for a luxury brand. She raised us to smile with our teeth and never wear denim to dinner. She calls it being polished. I call it pretending. Then there's Lucas, finance, custom cufflinks, always ready with a toast or a deflection. And Alyssa, the bride, flawless, lovely, curated to perfection. The kind of woman wedding magazines adore. The kind of woman I used to read stories to under blanket forts. And me? I'm the face they cropped out of the last holiday card. The name that doesn't match their monogrammed napkins. They don't know the truth. 10 years ago, I walked away from Wall Street. They thought I failed. Maybe they needed to. The truth? I was building something in silence. Solara, a logistics platform powered by AI, built on the belief that operational systems could be both smart and human. I started in my apartment, with hand-me-down monitors and caffeine-fueled nights. 3 platform rebuilds, 2 investors who ghosted, 1 blackout that erased 4 months of work, and no one knew. I didn't tell them. Not because I was ashamed. Because I wanted something of mine untouched by their narrative. 5 years later, Solara quietly became the backbone of over 60 national retailers. My name never made the press releases. I liked it that way. They thought I lived simply because I had no choice. They never realized it was the only way I felt real. When I got that email from Alyssa, I didn't respond. I didn't argue. I just stared at it and thought about the treasure maps we used to draw. About the compass we carved into everything. If you're ever lost, I used to say, just follow north. I'll be there. I wondered if she remembered. The box I made smelled like rain on wood. I carved it from oak, left a slight creak in the hinge like a flaw you love because it reminds you something's real. It held the letter and the memory. I arrived at the venue just after sunset. The vineyards glowed like something out of a dream. Guests moved like silk through candlelight, laughing soft and sipping blush wine. And I stood at the gate with my plain brown box. Not expecting a welcome, just hoping not to be stopped. The guard read my name, looked uncomfortable. Patricia. Morgan's daughter, I nodded. He radioed. And then I saw her, my mother, wrapped in lavender silk. She glanced at me. Not surprise. Not hurt. Just calculation. Then she looked away. Like I was no one. Like I was air. I turned to go. Then a man in a tailored suit approached. Are you Lena Morgan? He asked. I nodded slowly. Madam CEO, he smiled. This venue runs on Solara, right, and everything changed. Not because I needed it to, but because someone already saw. I parked farther down the road, under sycamores. Rolled down my window. Breathed. I thought about the early days. The warehouse I rented in the Bronx. The second-hand monitors, the coffee stains on blueprints, the nights I wondered if it would ever work. The silence I endured while the rest of my family lived curated, clean, perfect lives. I thought about the email my mother sent years ago, suggesting I become someone's assistant. Dreams are only as valuable as the bills they pay, Lena, she meant it as love. I knew that. But it still burned. Every year since then, I sent Alyssa a gift. A pressed flower pendant. A vintage poetry book. A music box that played Moon River. Because we used to sing it during storms. She never replied. Lucas laughed once, when someone asked where I was on Thanksgiving. If Lena's a CEO, he joked, then I'm a NASA astronaut. A friend told me that story. I didn't flinch. I'd already let go of being seen. It wasn't secrecy. It was self-preservation. I didn't want to be reintroduced through their lens. Didn't want a single dinner conversation to become the currency of my worth. I once wrote in my journal, one day they'll know. But by then, it won't matter anymore. And I meant it. And yet, there I was. Back in their world. A wedding powered by the very system they didn't know I'd built. Andrew, the general manager, recognized me from a tech summit in Vegas. He remembered that I didn't use a slide deck. You just spoke, he said. He glanced at the box. Would you like me to deliver that? I shook my head. No, just. Wanted to see it for myself. I stood there, violin music in the distance, laughter rising like smoke. Somewhere, Alyssa was laughing. Lucas probably toasting. Patricia calculating the lighting. And me? Still outside. Still unseen. But not small. Not anymore. I turned toward the main garden, the box still in my hands. And from behind the catering tent, a voice called out, no way. Lena Morgan, I turned. Olivia, an old friend from a startup in San Francisco. She stared, recognition blooming into awe. Madam C, she stopped herself. I lifted a finger to my lips. She nodded, whispered, everything here's running on your backbone. Solara's in every system today. I smiled, a quiet flicker. Then turned back to the garden. Where the lights shimmered and the illusion held. The gift suddenly felt heavier. A compass carved into wood. Something from a time before silence. Alyssa used to crawl into my bed during blackouts and whisper, just tell me where to go, and I'd always say, follow the compass. I'll be your north. I didn't know if she remembered. But I did. And maybe that was enough. Lena always pointed north. Even when no one followed. Even when they looked the other way. She held her sister's hand through storms, whispered through the dark, and promised she'd always be there. Now Alyssa had chandeliers bright enough to blind and no need for direction. Lena took a breath, steadied the box against her chest, and stepped toward the grand marble threshold. Just a few more steps to leave the gift and disappear, quietly. But before she could make it, a security guard blocked her path. Ma'am, can I see your invitation? His voice was courteous, but firm. Lena's fingers tightened. I'm family. The guard's face didn't shift. I'm sorry, your name's not on the guest list. We've been instructed to allow access only to confirmed guests. She opened her mouth. Closed it. And then, another voice, smooth, controlled. A familiar chill in its undertone. Is there a problem, Patricia? Her mother. Standing just a few feet away, a flute of champagne in her hand, her eyes fixed on the horizon behind Lena, as if looking through her. The guard nodded toward Lena. She says she's family. Patricia took a long sip, not even blinking. I don't recognize her, she said. And just like that, she moved on. Like Lena was a stranger on the sidewalk. Not the daughter who once stayed awake all night holding her sister's hand through every lightning strike. Not the girl who never stopped sending gifts even when no one wrote back. Nearby, a guest tilted her head. Who is she? Another replied, breezy and dismissive. Oh, probably a distant cousin or something. Not really close. Lena didn't move. The box stayed pressed tight against her chest. Violin swelled somewhere behind her. The sky turned lavender and gold. She stood in that silence until Olivia reappeared, eyes wide with quiet understanding. She didn't speak, just nodded. And Lena nodded back, like a compass gently settling into its truth. She adjusted her sleeves and stepped once more toward the entrance. The stone tiles echoed with each soft tap of her heel. The valley glowed pink-orange as the sun dipped lower. And then another man stepped forward, this one in a black suit, earpiece glinting. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, professionally. "Do you have an invitation?" Lena gave a calm smile. "I'm not here for the party. Just dropping something off for the bride." "She's my sister." The man frowned, checked his clipboard, hesitated, then pressed his mic. "Control, I've got someone here claiming to be family. Name's Lena Morgan." Static crackled in reply. "Have someone come verify." A minute later, Lucas appeared, navy suit, polished shoes, the kind of sibling who sent gift baskets instead of apologies. His smile was polite, distant. "Lena," he said, like he was greeting a former colleague, not his sister. "Wasn't expecting you. I thought the email was clear." "It was," Lena replied. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to give Alyssa this." She lifted the wooden box slightly. Lucas looked around, subtly scanning for witnesses. Then, his voice lowered. "You know how Mom is. She wants everything perfect today. And you," he hesitated. "And I what?" Lena asked. "You've always been different. Independent. People don't always know how to handle that." She blinked. "Because I don't decorate my success with cocktail parties," he gave a helpless shrug. "Look. I'll make sure Alyssa gets the gift. Maybe it's best you just head out." At that moment, Patricia reappeared. Her wine glass caught the sun. She glanced once at Lena, then quickly away, and turned to a couple near the buffet. "Nothing to worry about," she said with a soft, trained laugh. "Just someone who took a wrong turn." Someone nearby, a guest with a systems background, whispered, "Wait, we studied her logistics framework in Stanford. She's kind of a legend in AI ops." Lena didn't say anything. Didn't confirm. Didn't need to. Her eyes were on the gate behind Lucas. That was when her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She answered. "Ms. Morgan," a warm, composed voice said. "This is Aaron Walker from Ridgepoint Resorts. You're on site at Napa Hills, correct?" Lena's brows furrowed. "Yes. We're seeing an override protocol authorization. Under your name. Just wanted to check if anything needs escalation. Our event manager mentioned there may have been some confusion at the gate." Lena stared at the glowing ballroom windows, the box still tight in her arms. Her voice, when it came, was calm. Measured. "Yes," she said. "I think it's time I reminded a few people who built this system." She turned. Not as a guest. Not as someone desperate for a seat. But as the woman holding the switch. Her hand hovered above the car handle. But she wasn't gone yet. Something held her. And then, running footsteps. "Ms. Morgan. Madam CEO." The voice cut the air like a sudden chord in a silent song. Lena turned slowly. A tall man in a navy suit approached, breathless. "My God," he said, stopping in front of her. "I had no idea you were here. We should have." He paused, caught the box in her hands. "Please. Come inside. We're honored to have you." Across the lawn, heads turned. Chatter dimmed. One guest whispered, "Did he say Solara?" "Like, the Solara," Lena replied softly. "I'm just here to deliver a gift," but the screens said otherwise. "Solara Intelligence Systems. Welcome, founder, Elv Morgan." The effect was instantaneous. Glasses paused mid-toast. Conversation stuttered. Someone dropped a tray of hors d'oeuvres. Inside the bridal suite, a bridesmaid whispered urgently to the makeup artist. Alyssa blinked, confused. "Wait, Lena? What do you mean, founder?" Down below, Patricia dropped her glass. It didn't break. But her expression did. Lucas stood. Frozen. "Lena, Solara?" he whispered. "Are we talking about the same Lena?" But it was her. Unmistakably. And for the first time, they were on the outside of her story. Lucas tried to scoff, to dismiss. "Probably just a coincidence," he muttered. A man in beige whispered to his wife, "She doesn't look like a CEO." A bridesmaid rolled her eyes. "She's always been weird at Thanksgiving." But Lena didn't explain. Didn't argue. Instead, she pulled a sleek black card from her wallet, matte, copper-edged, embedded with the Solara root chip. "Could I borrow admin access for 30 seconds? She asked the tech crew. The technician blinked, recognized her, handed over the tablet. "Voice override," she said. The room dimmed. Music stopped mid-chord. Four screens froze. Silence. On the largest screen, glowing white letters appeared, "Admin offset executed. By Elv Morgan, founder." Gasps rose, honest, uncontrollable gasps. Phones came out. A TikToker had already started recording. The internet was listening. Lena didn't flinch. Didn't pose. She just said, I didn't override the system. I reminded it who built it, no theatrics. No script. Just truth. Alyssa's hands trembled around her bouquet. A memory rushed back, Lena, age 14, teaching her how to fix a virus on their old desktop. Lena splicing wires on a modem. Lena, hidden for years, now unmistakable. Lucas's eyes darted. Maybe she is, Patricia hissed to no one, she's just trying to steal attention. Lena turned. Tapped the screen again. The music resumed. Lights came back. The room didn't. Because everyone had just seen what it looked like when a woman erased from her family re-entered on her own terms. And they weren't just watching anymore. They were witnessing. A moment later, the screen lit up again, not with wedding content, but with a video. Lena, seated in a minimalist office. You don't need to be visible to have value, she said. Sometimes you spend years invisible to the ones closest to you. But the world sees. And eventually, if they choose to, so does your family. The video ended with an image of the compass box, open. Inside, an engraving, to Alyssa, from your North Star, L, quiet. Complete. Enough. That night, the clip went viral. The override. The voice. The moment. But it wasn't the code that resonated, it was the clarity. Madam CEO. By dawn, hashtag Madam CEO was trending globally. Headlines poured in. Podcast hosts called it the most graceful power move in family history. Business media dissected it as a masterclass in silent leadership. But behind the virality, the Morgans unraveled. Lucas's firm paused partnership deals. Patricia was asked to take a leave of absence from every public-facing board she sat on. An old contact sent a one-line email, "Did you really not know who your daughter was?" And Lena? She said nothing. No interviews. No statements. Just one quiet line on the Solara homepage, sometimes silence has more data than noise. Then came the letter. A scam from a middle school in Oregon. A boy named Max, my mom's a nurse. She uses your app to track supplies. I think you're who I want to be when I grow up. Lena read it. Twice. And smiled. The Morgans scrambled. Lena stayed still. The world had turned already. In Patricia's home, a photo hung above the fireplace. Old, familiar. Lucas. Alyssa. Even the dog. Lena at the edge, partly cropped. Patricia stood, staring. And finally whispered, I cut her out of the picture long before the wedding, didn't I? Silence. But not the kind Lena feared anymore. Lucas emailed her 2 days later. Short. Apologetic. I didn't have the courage to stand up for you. That's what I regret most, she cried. But didn't fill the silence. Not this time. Patricia came in person, no makeup, holding cookies. In a tin. I don't understand your world, she said, voice shaking. But I know I missed it. Because I thought you weren't growing the way I wanted. Lena looked at her. Then said, gently, you don't have to understand me. Just don't use that to erase me. They had tea on the porch. No hashtags. No cameras. Patricia looked at the sapling by the fence. You think that tree will hold? Lena smiled. Its roots run deep. Wind only makes it stronger. Later, Lucas sent a photo. The box. She's not ready to hold it, he wrote. Maybe it belongs to you, Lena replied, it belongs to whoever follows it. Not whoever keeps it. The next morning, a handwritten envelope sat in Lena's mailbox. The return name, Alyssa. She didn't open it right away. Just placed it next to the compass box on the windowsill. Sunlight traced the grain of the wood. The needle trembled faintly, still pointing north. It hadn't moved much. But it didn't. Need to. Some things don't need to shout to show the way. They just need to stay steady, until you're ready to return.